Hi, I'm Alexander Shin, and this is the story of how I turned from a worthless stepdaughter into the owner of one of the largest luxury hotel chains in Asia. Sometimes the people closest to you can be the ones who underestimate you the most, but success is the sweetest revenge. I was 16 when my father married Victoria Wang, heir to the prestigious Wang Hotel Group. From day one, she made it clear that I wasn't part of her legacy. Her daughter, Isabella, who was my age, treated me like a servant rather than a stepsister. "At least now you'll learn the value of hard work," Victoria would say with a smirk. The summer I turned 18, Victoria insisted I earn my keep by working at their flagship hotel in Singapore. Not in management training, like Isabella, but as a busser in their restaurant. "Someone needs to learn humility," she told my father, who merely nodded, too invested in his new marriage to protest. What they didn't know was that I had inherited $50 million from my mother's family when she passed away. I kept it secret, living modestly while investing in tech startups and cryptocurrency. By day, I cleared tables and endured Isabella's taunts. By night, I was building an empire. "Look at her," Isabella would snicker to her friends over breakfast. "Can't even afford designer clothes while working at our hotel." I'd smile quietly, remembering my latest investment that had just tripled in value. The Wang Hotel Group had been struggling for years, stuck in old-fashioned luxury while newer chains innovated. I watched silently as Victoria and Isabella ignored customer complaints, dismissed staff suggestions, and refused to modernize their operations. Every mistake they made, I documented. Every opportunity they missed, I noted. Then came the COVID pandemic. While other hotels adapted with contactless check-ins and enhanced cleaning protocols, the Wang Group floundered. Their occupancy rates plummeted. Victoria blamed everyone but herself, firing loyal employees while Isabella posted poolside photos on Instagram. "This is all temporary," Victoria assured the board. "Our legacy will survive." But I knew better. I had spent 2 years learning every aspect of hotel operations from the ground up, not from a cushioned executive office like Isabella. Through a series of shell companies, I began buying shares in the Wang Group whenever the price dipped. Nobody noticed the quiet accumulation. Victoria was too busy planning Isabella's elaborate 21st birthday party at their half-empty flagship hotel. The party was a garish display of wealth they no longer had. "Alexandra," Victoria called out as I passed with a tray of champagne, "since you're here, make yourself useful and help the serving staff." Isabella's friends giggled, taking photos of me in my service uniform. I served drinks with a smile, knowing what would happen at tomorrow's shareholders' meeting. Through my shell companies, I now owned 45% of the Wang Group. The other major shareholders, frustrated with Victoria's mismanagement, had secretly agreed to sell their shares to me. The next morning, I changed from my usual simple clothes into a tailored Channel suit. When I walked into the shareholders' meeting, Victoria didn't even recognize me at first. Isabella was too busy texting to notice my entrance. "As you all know," Victoria began, her voice strained, "the past 2 years have been challenging. The board has suggested selling the group to a major international chain." She paused, fighting back tears. "While this pains me deeply, we must consider all options to protect our legacy." That's when I stood up. The room fell silent as I walked to the podium. Victoria's face contorted in confusion. "What are you doing here?" "This meeting is for shareholders only." I smiled, pulling out a folder. "Oh, but I am a shareholder, Victoria. In fact," I nodded to my lawyer, who distributed documents to the board members. Through my investment firms, I own 45% of the Wong Hotel Group, and I have agreements to purchase another 30% from other shareholders. Isabella dropped her phone. Victoria grabbed the documents, her hands shaking. This is impossible. You're just a busser? I finished for her. That's where you were wrong. While you were busy protecting your legacy, I was building my own. My net worth currently stands at $2 billion, and I've spent the last 2 years learning this business from the ground up. Something you and Isabella never bothered to do. The room erupted in chaos. Board members whispered urgently, some nodding in approval. Isabella had turned pale, gripping her mother's arm. Victoria stood frozen, the papers trembling in her hands. You see, I continued, my voice steady. I learned something valuable while buzzing tables at your hotel. Success isn't about legacy or status. It's about understanding your business from every angle, respecting your employees, and adapting to change. I pulled up a presentation showing my plans for modernizing the hotel group. I'm prepared to buy out all remaining shareholders at a 20% premium to market price. And I have detailed plans to restore this company to its former glory. Victoria finally found her voice. Your father won't allow this. He has no say in the matter. I cut her off. Dad may have married into your family, but I built my own empire. Would you like to see my other holdings? I gestured to my assistant, who distributed more documents. Isabella had started crying, mascara running down her cheeks. All those times she'd mocked my simple clothes and starter car, she'd never imagined I was worth more than their entire family combined. The board voted unanimously to accept my offer. In one morning, I had become the majority owner of the Wong Hotel Group. As shell-shocked board members filed out, I turned to Victoria and Isabella. Don't worry, I said softly. I won't fire you immediately. In fact, I think it's time you both learned the business from the ground up. Isabella, you can start by buzzing tables tomorrow. Victoria, housekeeping needs help on the 3rd floor. Victoria and Isabella showed up the next morning looking like they'd aged years overnight. Isabella's designer outfit had been replaced with the standard staff uniform. Her perfectly manicured nails, now hidden beneath rubber gloves. This is illegal, Victoria sputtered as she watched Isabella awkwardly handle a bus tub. You can't demob us like this. We'll sue. I smiled, remembering all the times they'd forced me to work double shifts. Actually, I can. The board has given me complete control over staffing decisions. But don't worry. Unlike you, I believe in fair treatment. You'll both receive the standard employee wage, plus tips. The news of my takeover spread through the hotel industry like wildfire. Techich Bilionare reveals security INTITY hotel chain. The headline screamed. My phone exploded with calls from business journalists wanting to know how the hidden heiress had pulled off such a spectacular coup. But I wasn't interested in publicity. I had work to do. The first month was chaos. Victoria tried to sabotage operations by encouraging loyal employees to quit. Instead, they came to me with recordings of her attempts. We've waited years for someone to fix this place, my former supervisor told me. We're on your side. Isabella lasted 3 days as a busser before having a meltdown in the middle of the lunch rush. I can't do this, she screamed, throwing down her towel. Do you know who I am? Yes, I replied calmly, helping a startled guest with their water. You're an employee who just abandoned their station. That's grounds for immediate termination. Would you like to reconsider your actions? She stayed, But her Instagram posts changed dramatically. Gone were the poolside photoshoots and champagne brunches. Now she posted about learning humility and understanding the value of hard work. Her followers ate it up, calling her inspirational. Meanwhile, I began implementing changes I dreamed up during those long nights clearing tables. We introduced mobile check-in, upgraded our sustainability practices, and revamped our customer service protocols. Every employee, from housekeeping to management, received comprehensive training and better benefits. "You're going to bankrupt us with these expenses," Victoria warned during a staff meeting, her housekeeping uniform wrinkled from actually cleaning rooms. "Strange," I replied, pulling up our financial reports. Our occupancy rates have increased 40% since implementing these changes. Customer satisfaction scores are at an all-time high. Care to explain why treating employees well and modernizing our services is bad for business? She had no answer. 3 months into my ownership, my father finally worked up the courage to visit. He found me in my office, my former break room that I'd converted into a modern command center. "Alexandra," he began, looking older than I remembered. I didn't know." "That's the problem, Dad," I said, not looking up from my laptop. "You never bothered to know anything about me. Too busy with your new family to notice your daughter was building an empire." He sank into a chair, his shoulders slumping. "When your mother died, I was lost. Victoria seemed like a way to give you a new family, a stable future. I never imagined that I didn't need your help," I finished. "That I could succeed without you, or that your new wife would treat your daughter like a servant." Tears filled his eyes. "I failed you. Completely and utterly failed you." For the first time in years, I saw my father, really saw him. Not the man who'd abandoned me for his new family, but the broken man who'd lost his way after Mom died. "You did," I agreed. "But it's not too late to start over, if you're willing to earn back my trust." He nodded eagerly. "Anything." "Good, because I need a new maintenance supervisor, someone who knows engineering like you do. But you'll start at entry level, like everyone else." He smiled through his tears. "When can I start?" Over the next year, the Wong Hotel Group transformed. We expanded sustainably, acquiring struggling boutique hotels and modernizing them while preserving their unique character. Our employee satisfaction scores soared, and turnover dropped to industry-leading lows. Victoria eventually quit, unable to handle taking orders from her former stepdaughter. Last I heard, she's living in a modest apartment, writing a memoir about losing it all. Isabella, surprisingly, stuck it out. She worked her way up from busying tables to restaurant management, earning every promotion through actual merit. As for my father, he thrived in maintenance. The staff loved him, and he seemed happier with a wrench in his hand than he ever had in a business suit. We started having weekly lunches, rebuilding our relationship one conversation at a time. One evening, as I was leaving the office, I found Isabella waiting by my car. "I never thanked you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For showing me what real strength looks like. I was so obsessed with status and image that I never learned what matters. You could have fired us all, but instead, you taught us." I studied my stepsister, seeing her clearly for the first time. The entitled princess was gone, replaced by someone who finally understood the value of hard work. "We're opening a new property in Bali," I said. "They need an experienced restaurant manager. Interested?" Her eyes widened. "Really? After everything?" "Everyone deserves a second chance, even spoiled stepsisters." She laughed. then grew serious. Can I ask you something? All those days you spent busying tables, dealing with our abuse. How did you stay so calm? I smiled, remembering those long days and longer nights. Because I knew something you didn't. Success isn't about being born into the right family or having the right name. It's about working smart, staying humble, and never letting anyone else define your worth. Today, the Wang Hotel Group is worth 5 times what it was when I bought it. Our properties consistently rank among the world's best, known for both luxury and conscience. Dad runs our maintenance training program, teaching new hires the value of doing things right. Isabella has turned our Bali property into a destination restaurant scene. Sometimes, during quiet moments, I visit our flagship hotel's restaurant. I watch the busy staff clearing tables and serving guests, remembering my own days doing the same work. Occasionally, new employees ask why the CEO insists on having lunch in the staff room instead of the executive dining room. Because, I tell them, the best view of a business isn't from the top, it's from the ground floor. Last week, I received an invitation to speak at business school about my journey from busser to billionaire. The event will be held at our flagship hotel. Victoria has requested a ticket to attend. I approved her request and added a note. Dress code is business casual. But don't worry, if you can't afford designer clothes, we provide uniforms. After all, success isn't just about making money. Sometimes, it's about teaching the people who once looked down on you to look up. Way up.
I smoothed my simple black dress as I walked into the Waldorf, knowing my sister Rebecca's Versace gown cost more than my apartment's monthly rent. Not that she knew about the penthouse office I really spent my days in. Sarah, finally, Mom waved from her birthday celebration's head table. Rebecca was just telling us about her new position. Executive Vice President of Sterling Development. I slid into my seat as Rebecca held court, describing her latest luxury real estate project and her corner office's view of Central Park. So, Rebecca turned to me with a practiced smile. Still working at that parking garage? Which building is it? The one near the discount stores. The acquisition papers in my bag felt heavy. 5 years of careful planning, buying properties through shell companies, and tomorrow morning Sterling Development would belong to Chin International. How's the valet business? Dad asked, studying his wine. Must be quiet at that end of town. I sipped my water, thinking of tomorrow's board meeting where I'd take control of the city's largest real estate empire. We manage. Oh darling, Mom sighed, you could have had a real career in development. Rebecca might have an opening in building management. Rebecca laughed delicately. We always need good valets. Something more suitable for your experience. The massive screens around the ballroom caught my attention. Business news covering tomorrow's major real estate announcement. I'd kept my identity private, letting my portfolio's success speak for itself. Speaking of real estate, Rebecca gestured to the screens. Have you heard about this mysterious buyer acquiring prime properties? Though they'd never look at your side of town. My phone buzzed message from our CFO. Final valuation, $4.2 billion. Board meeting confirmed for 8 a.m. You know, Rebecca continued, our parking division needs managers. Basic stuff, nothing complicated. Perfect for someone with your background. The takeover documents felt heavy in my bag. The same company that had rejected my development proposals 3 years ago. To my brilliant daughter, Dad raised his glass to Rebecca. Leading the future of New York real estate. I checked my watch. 14 hours until the board meeting. 14 hours until they learned that while they mocked my parking garage, I'd built the largest private real estate empire in Manhattan. Here's my card. Rebecca slid her gold-embossed business card across the table. Call my assistant. We'll find you something appropriate for your level. I touched the ID badge in my pocket, the one that read Sarah Chin International in understated silver lettering. The one I'd never shown at family gatherings. Actually, I started, but Rebecca was already talking over me. Did I mention my new project? She beamed. Sterling's tallest tower yet. They're naming it the Rebecca. 52 stories of pure luxury. It's wonderful having a daughter at such a prestigious firm, Mom gushed. Though of course Sarah, your parking work is necessary too. The news segment continued silently above us. Mystery buyer set to announce major Manhattan real estate acquisition. The ticker showed Sterling Development's stock climbing on takeover rumors. Remember when you wanted to revolutionize urban development? Rebecca smirked. All those proposals about sustainable luxury communities? How did that work out? I remembered standing in Sterling's boardroom 3 years ago, pitching my vision for integrated urban spaces. Rebecca had walked past twice, pretending not to see me. Their rejection letter had called my ideas unrealistic and unmarketable. Speaking of changes, Dad turned to me. That parking garage is in a declining area. Maybe it's time to consider a real career. My phone buzzed again. Sterling board members all in position. Legal team confirms everything's ready for tomorrow. Don't wait too long, Rebecca called as the party wound down. Those parking management positions fill up fast. Though with your experience we might have to start you as an attendant. I smiled, thinking of the new building signs already being installed under cover of darkness. Sometimes the best investments aren't the most obvious ones, they're the ones nobody sees coming. Dawn painted Manhattan's skyline in gold as my private elevator ascended Sterling Tower. Through the glass walls, I could see Rebecca's office across the plaza, where she was undoubtedly preparing for her big announcement about her namesake building. Miss Chin, my assistant Marcus appeared with a tablet. The board is assembled. They think it's a routine meeting. Your sister just arrived, she's rehearsing her presentation about the Rebecca. I smoothed my Chanel suit, the one I'd bought after our first major acquisition but never worn to family events. And the paperwork? Finalized. Controlling shares secured last night. The moment you walk in, Sterling Development becomes a subsidiary of Chin International. The irony wasn't lost on me. 3 years ago, I'd waited in Sterling's lobby for hours, clutching my urban development proposal. Rebecca had walked past, too important to acknowledge her parking attendant sister. My phone lit up with texts from last night. Mom, darling, consider Rebecca's offer. Parking garages are so dreary. Rebecca, called HR. Might have valet positions open. Better than that dump you're in. Dad, be practical, Sarah. You need a real career. They're all here, Marcus checked his tablet. Your family thinks they're attending Rebecca's tower naming ceremony. Through the boardroom windows, I could see Rebecca at the podium, gesturing grandly as she unveiled renderings of the Rebecca. Our new tower will redefine luxury, she was saying. No other building in Manhattan can compare. If she only knew her precious tower would be renamed within the hour. And now, the board chairman interrupted, looking uneasy. Before we continue with Ms. Chen's presentation, we have an important announcement. Rebecca frowned, still standing at the podium. Please welcome the CEO of Chin International, who as of this morning, is the new owner of Sterling Development and all its properties. The room fell silent. Rebecca's laser pointer clattered to the floor. I stepped through the doors, my heels clicking on marble. The same boardroom that had rejected my proposal now displayed our company's portfolio on every screen. Thank you, I began, my voice carrying across the stunned room. 5 years ago I started with a single parking garage, with a vision of revolutionizing urban development. Mom's champagne glass froze halfway to her lips. Today that vision becomes reality. Chin International now controls the largest luxury real estate portfolio in Manhattan. And yes, I paused, looking directly at Rebecca. That includes your tower, which will be redesigned according to our sustainable luxury standards. Dad's hand shook as he looked at Sterling's new organizational chart, with my name at the top. The new building signs are being unveiled as we speak, I continued smoothly, though I should mention we'll be postponing the tower naming ceremony indefinitely. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, we watched as workers removed the Sterling Development lettering from the building's crown. News helicopters circled overhead, capturing the moment for evening broadcasts. Effective immediately, I continued, all development projects will report to our central planning board. This includes, I turned to Rebecca, still frozen at the podium, your luxury tower project. You can't. Rebecca's voice cracked. My building, My design will be thoroughly revised, I finished, pulling up our sustainable luxury metrics. Our developments have 40% higher occupancy rates and triple the environmental certifications of Sterling's current properties. The board members shifted uncomfortably, avoiding Rebecca's gaze. They'd seen the numbers, they knew why they'd approved the sale. As for staffing, I clicked to the next slide. All executive positions will be re-evaluated based on our company's performance standards. Rebecca finally stepped down from the podium, her perfect composure cracking. I'm executive vice president. You can't just. Actually, I interrupted, displaying the acquisition terms. As of 8 a.m., all executive positions are subject to review. Including, I paused, savoring the moment, EVP of development. Mom's designer clutch slipped from her lap. Dad loosened his tie, likely remembering all those times he'd dismissed my little parking garage at family gatherings. The massive windows offered a clear view as the new sign was lifted into place. Chin International, illuminated in brilliant white letters against the morning sky. Your office, I continued, looking at Rebecca, will be relocated to the 3rd floor. The executive suite will house our sustainable design team. Design team. Rebecca's voice was barely a whisper. Yes, the same one that developed the concepts you called unmarketable 3 years ago. The ones now achieving record occupancy rates. Marcus appeared with a stack of papers. The press is waiting in the lobby and the mayor's office called to congratulate you. Also, the new access cards are ready. I held up Rebecca's new ID card, no longer executive VP, just development associate. Sometimes, I addressed the room, but my eyes stayed on my sister. The biggest real estate empires don't start in corner offices. They start with people willing to park cars and dream big. The morning sun streamed through the windows, illuminating our new corporate logo, a beacon of change visible across the Manhattan skyline. Sometimes the best developments aren't built with steel and glass, they're built with patience and vision. Evening settled over Manhattan as I reviewed the day's headlines on the screens lining my new executive office, formerly Rebecca's suite. Chin International acquires Sterling Development in historic takeover. Mystery real estate mogul reveals identity. Sarah Chen's rise from parking garage to property empire. Sterling Properties value surges 45% after Chin acquisition. Sustainable luxury. How one woman revolutionized Manhattan real estate. Miss Chin, Marcus appeared quietly, your family is here. They've been trying to reach you since the board meeting. I turned from the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking my new empire, every major building now bearing the Chin International logo. Send them in. The doors opened to reveal a very different family from last night's party. Rebecca's designer suit was wrinkled, her perfect hair disheveled. Mom's socialite composure had crumbled. Dad clutched a folder of Sterling Development stock certificates, now bearing our company's name. Sarah. Rebecca's voice trembled. You can't just. My project. My tower. Please sit. I gestured to the Italian leather chairs facing my desk. The same ones Rebecca had bragged about at countless family gatherings. How? Dad stepped forward. That parking garage in the bad part of town was the first of 50 properties. I pulled up our portfolio map. While you were mocking my valet service, I was building the largest luxury real estate company in New York. But all those times we offered to help you find a real job. Mom stammered. I was too busy buying the companies you wanted me to work for. I displayed our acquisition history. Did you never wonder why I chose that specific garage location? Right in the heart of what's now our most valuable development zone. Rebecca stared at her old nameplate now sitting in the outgoing box. Pi Tower dedication has been redesigned, I completed. The space will better serve as our flagship sustainable luxury complex. You can't demote your own sister, Mom pleaded. Her reputation. Like she protected mine? I pulled up the security footage from 3 years ago. When I waited 8 hours to present my development proposal. The one you called amateur thinking, Rebecca? The screens showed Rebecca deliberately ignoring me in the lobby, too important to acknowledge her sister with the unrealistic ideas. Your development authority, I slid papers across the desk, has been revoked. However, I'm prepared to offer you a position. Hope flickered in her eyes. Property management. Starting level, I continued. Someone needs to handle the parking operations. Isn't that what you called suitable for my level? Dad's face reddened as I threw Rebecca's words back at her. This is revenge, Rebecca accused. No, I said, adjusting my CO plate. This is innovation. Revenge is just extra. Marcus entered with reports. Property values are up 20%. Dubai wants expansion. Outside, our signs lit the city skyline. Now, Rebecca, I said. About that parking spot you claimed filled fast? Silence filled the room. Think it over, I added. Like prime real estate, spots are limited. They left heads low. I picked up Rebecca's old VP badge. Oh, Rebecca? She turned, makeup streaked. Don't forget to validate your parking. The door shut. Manhattan's lights glowed below. Success wasn't just reaching the top. It was watching others fall.